you have diabetes, you were probably told to avoid fruits. When I became diabetic in 2017 and heard that it could be reversed by adopting a whole food plant-based diet, my first reaction was, what? That can't be right. Fruits are plants and fruits are sweet. How can those not raise my blood sugar? I was told that it was necessary for me to go easy on fruits. And one very common question that I still get nowadays is, Doc, can I eat banana? These misconceptions and myths can lead to misunderstanding and stigma. World Health Organization says 90 to 95% of diabetes in the whole world is type 2. What is the cause of type 2 diabetes? Insulin resistance. This sugar or glucose has no business staying in the blood for a long period of time. Why? It's not needed there. Where is it needed? It has to be inside the cell. Now here's the problem. It's the fat inside the cell. They are not supposed to be there. How did we end up with fats inside our cells? Which is better choice now? An animal-based food or plant-based foods? Hi everybody, this is Dr. Edelita, your Sunday Drive weekly host in the Lifestyle Changers MD. Welcome! I hope that you're having a relaxing and pleasant weekend with yourself or with your family. While enjoying your me time with me, which I feel honored, I promise you I'm going to value that time by giving you valuable information. And so I encourage you to stay with me for as long as possible, hopefully until the end of this video, because I'm sure you will learn a lot from this video, and who knows, you can save a life or lives by just watching this video. All right, so have you seen my video last week? It's about allergies and asthma. And did you see how I explained it simply, in a simplified form about why people develop asthma or allergies and how you can get rid of it or at least control it without medication? I'm asking because today I'm going to use the same teaching strategy. I will be giving you a strong dose of enlightening so you will understand why people with type 2 diabetes can say goodbye to insulin or at least reduce their medication and thereby decreasing their cost of medications for type 2 diabetes. Are you ready? I am. But be prepared to make screenshots of this video if you find it helpful, or get your pen and paper ready. But before we dive into that, I would like to make a brief disclaimer regarding the information covered in this video. This is very important. My aim in this video is to provide you with educational support to help you towards making health-promoting lifestyle. That's all. Now, this is not intended to replace conventional medicine, or does it create a physician-patient relationship between us. I strongly recommend that you work with a medical professional should you ever want to change anything in your lifestyle, because you need professional guidance, most especially with diabetes medications. And I tell you, have patients who change their lifestyle after watching this video, after hearing the explanation, and they're getting off medication just less than a week. So now if you are on medication, please make sure that you are working with a doctor. All right. Now, let's start. Type 2 diabetes is a very common chronic disease. It affects millions of people worldwide. But despite that fact, there are still many misconceptions, stigmas surrounding diabetes. And if you have Diabetes, you were probably somewhere in time told to avoid fruits, especially those that are sweets, or at least limit your intake of fruits. When I became diabetic in 2017 and heard that it could be reversed, potentially reversed, by adopting a whole food plant-based diet, my first reaction was, what? That can't be right. Fruits are plants and fruits are sweet. How can those not raise my blood sugar? I mean, guilty. I was told that it was necessary for me to go easy on fruits. And one very common question that I still get nowadays is, Doc, can I eat banana? I mean, that's sweet. Well, a logical answer to that, not a scientific, logical, but, and this is what I thought before when I, found out I was diabetic and I want to try whole food plant-based diet. I thought, well, humans share about 90% of DNA, of their DNA with primates, with monkeys, chimpanzees, right? So if bananas were the culprit, all monkeys in the wild would have become diabetic. And so I just laughed to myself. I'm like, okay, you're a doctor. You need to find some scientific evidence here. We're going to tackle those here. So hang on. These misconceptions and myths can lead to misunderstanding and stigma, and even hinder effective management and prevention effort. So it is crucial to address this very common question, because these misconceptions provide inaccurate basis for people to make inappropriate dietary changes. So even if you're not diabetic yet, but know of somebody battling with diabetes, please continue watching this video, because who knows, your enlightenment today is his solution to winning over his fight against type 2 diabetes. So, type 2 diabetes is what we're going to focus today, because World Health Organization says 90 to 95% of diabetes in the whole world is type 2. First, we're going to start with, what is the cause of type 2 diabetes? 2 words: insulin resistance. Let me explain that simply by using this illustration. What you're seeing here is a diagram of a simple explanation of what caused type 2 diabetes. As we said, insulin resistance. So this story is about insulin resistance. This is the insulin resistance story. Here's what normally happens in a normal, non-diabetic person, okay? After we eat a carbohydrate-rich foods, this carbohydrate, for example, potato, is broken down into glucose. Glucose is sugar in simple terms, and that is absorbed into our blood. This sugar or glucose has no business staying in the blood for a long period of time. Why? It's not needed there. Where is it needed? It has to be inside the cell. So this, for example, is our muscle cell, one of your muscle cell, okay? Sugar is, or glucose, is the main energy source of any single cell in the body, and it has to go inside the cell for it to be used. For that to happen, our body produces a hormone called insulin, which then binds to the insulin gates. And the binding of insulin to the insulin gates activate what I call as a messenger, just simply messenger. What does this messenger do? Well, the messenger awakens and start opening the door or the sugar gates from the inside. Therefore, 2 hours after eating, blood sugar levels should go down to normal, because at this time, most of the sugar should have been already inside the cell. Are you following me? That's the normal process. Now, here's the problem. Already inside the cell are these fats. The yellow stuff are the fats that we call intramyocellular lipid or intramyocellular fat or IMF. That what they do is they paralyze our messenger so that even if it has been awakened by the insulin, it can't move. It can't open the sugar gates from the inside, leaving the sugar flowing in the blood. That's why 2 hours after you check your sugar, it's 250 or 300 still. Sugar could not enter the cell because of the messenger inactivated or paralyzed or whatever you call it by your fat. This is a simple explanation of insulin resistance. Please understand this. This is the root cause of type 2 diabetes. So the million-dollar question is, what is the cause of insulin resistance? The cause of insulin resistance is not sugar that's just trying to get in. It's the fat inside the cell. They are not supposed to be there. When a healthy baby is born, he doesn't have intramyocellular fat. This sounds pretty daunting, right? No, it's not. Because here's the good news. I'm here to deliver the good news. Experts believe that now there is a reason why insulin resistance can be reversed. And I'm seeing that in my patients. And the main goal is what? To make these fats go away. If we can make them go away, it will reactivate your messenger. It will reactivate your messenger, and start opening the sugar gates from the inside. So then blood can flow in to the cell, and the sugar in the blood goes back to normal level. Are you getting this? Are you getting this? So now the next question is, how? How did we end up with fats inside our cells? First, those fats inside the cells are not supposed to be there. No. How did they get there? You might be wondering how else but in our diet, which is rich in saturated fats, cholesterol, and excess sugar. Saturated fats occur naturally in many foods, and most come from animal sources like beef, pork, chicken, egg, dairy products, and even some tropical oils like coconut oil. Now, what about cholesterol? Cholesterol is naturally produced by animals. We are animals, right? So therefore, we make cholesterol inherently if our body needs it. If we eat other foods that contain normally cholesterol, regardless of how you cook them, you're dumping extra cholesterol to your body, and your body says, well, what am I going to do with this? Well, let's deposit those or some of them inside the cell. Get the picture? I hope you do. Now, cholesterol, as I've said, is only found in animal products or animal-based foods. Saturated fats and trans fats are the bad fats too that can get incorporated into the food, and most especially in processed foods. A main source of saturated fat in the typical diet in this generation are sandwiches, many of which combine meat and cheese. This includes burgers, lunch meat sandwiches, tacos, and other dishes such as casseroles. And if we look at, for example, a cheeseburger from McDonald's, focusing our attention to what caused diabetes type 2, insulin resistance, because of the presence of what? fat inside the cell and what kinds of fat. We have the saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol. One cheeseburger has 6 grams of saturated fat and 40 milligrams of cholesterol. Where does this cholesterol come from again? From the meat, because animals produce cholesterol. It's in the meat. What about tuna? Before I thought I could be safe with tuna, but figured out, no, I think that still is a bad option. As we have, for example, a Subway 6 inches tuna has a saturated fat of 5 grams and a cholesterol of 40 milligrams. Desserts and sweet snacks are also sources of saturated fat everywhere in the world. Not only do they contain eggs, dairy, but also sugar. Sugar is unfortunately generously thrown into the desserts, and that's one thing that you should keep in mind, that just because it doesn't look like meat, there can be meat products, poultry products, or dairy products in them. Now let's talk about fruits. There's a bit of confusion surrounding fruits, especially bananas. As I've mentioned earlier, bananas are a subject of debate when it comes to their nutrient value. While some consider this golden fruit to be a healthy choice, others still avoid it after seeing it in internet list of 5 worst foods. Some claim that bananas cause weight gain and constipation, and the fact that it is sweet, people intentionally avoid bananas in the setting of diabetes, prediabetes, or high risk for diabetes. These claims are baseless and not supported by scientific evidence. Let's look at the facts, shall we? Okay. Here you'll see a banana, and one serving size is 100 grams. It has 89 calories. That's energy given by the banana. And you can see that there's no cholesterol, right? Why? Because as I've mentioned, cholesterol is only in animals. If it's plants, there's no cholesterol. Safe. What about fats? Almost non-existent. Right? See that? It's almost non-existent. A naturally occurring sugar, 23 grams. But there's 3 grams of fiber. Are you worried about the sugar rush from bananas? Let's peel the truth about bananas, okay? The type of carbohydrates, yes, it is rich in carbohydrate, but the type of carbohydrates in bananas is classified as resistant starch, which means that this works much like dietary fiber. In fact, it actually has fiber. And what is fiber? Fiber is a type of carbohydrates that doesn't get digested too easily and not absorbed so quickly, so that it just goes down to your intestine, preventing other forms of sugar from getting absorbed into the blood, which is nice, while you're feeling full for a longer period of time. Isn't that nice? You're full. You don't have to keep snacking because you're full, you're not hungry. And the sugar in the banana, because it has fiber, is prevented or at least reduced significantly from being absorbed into the blood. Now, let's say you are still crippled by this myth or misconception and you're really hungry and you decided, guess what? I need to eat, but not banana. I'm going to reach out for chicken nuggets. 4 pieces of chicken nuggets gave you 100 calories, which is about almost more than half of the calories from the 4 chicken nuggets. are derived from the fat. Look at the saturated fat, 2 grams. Cholesterol, 30 milligrams. Now, not only do they contain the saturated fat and cholesterol, which can deposit more in the cell, making you more insulin resistant, worsening your type 2 diabetes. But look at this here, an empty space. Nuggets, chicken nuggets doesn't contain vitamins and minerals, which, if you've noticed, our bananas are well provided of. From calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and our vitamins A, B, and C. No wonder fruits like bananas are endowed naturally with the vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals that our food choices nowadays, sadly, are not. Now, what then can we do? We in the American College of Lifestyle Medicine upholds, advocates consumption of whole food plant-based diet because of the scientific evidence. From eating on ultra-processed or highly processed foods that are devoid of fiber, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and loaded with saturated fats, cholesterol, excess sugar, excess salt. Not to mention the chemicals, preservatives, binders, food enhancers. This is a type of diet that can increase our risk for obesity, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and some other cancers and some other chronic diseases. We feel we are kingly and rich when we're eating this kind of foods, but in reality, this is poor nutrition. And this will only facilitate increasing your risk for chronic diseases. And take note, type 2 diabetes is not hereditary. You may be predisposed to, but doesn't mean you're going to develop type 2 diabetes. It's the diet and the lifestyle that's going to switch on your genetic predisposition, developing to type 2 diabetes. So what can we do? Simple, doable. If we open our mind into understanding, going back to the cause of type 2 diabetes, the fat, we need to get rid as much as possible, or at least decrease significantly our dietary intake of saturated fat, cholesterol, and excess sugar by adopting a whole food plant-based eating pattern. Why? They don't have cholesterol. Why? Very minimal and even negligible amount of saturated fat. And their sugars are naturally occurring. Doesn't spike our sugar in the blood because it has fiber to buffer it up. And plus, we have the vitamins, the minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, all that are necessary for bodily repair. To know more about whole food plant-based nutrition, I invite you to download my ebook. It's free. It's free. If you visit my website at www.theplanidolita.com, you will have a better understanding of a whole food plant-based diet in that ebook as an introduction. And I encourage you to educate yourself more about this and be confident in adopting a plant-based. Because based on what I just taught you of what causes type 2 diabetes, which 90 to 95% of people around the world with diabetes have this kind of type, it's preventable. and potentially reversible if we address the root cause, which is fat inside the cell. And the good news is we can get rid of it. Based on what I just explained to you about type 2 diabetes cause, which is better choice now? An animal-based food or plant-based foods? I hope that this video about type 2 diabetes is helpful to you. If you know of anybody who's been struggling with type 2 diabetes, please share this video. Who knows, you might be saving that person's life or lives. All my videos are recorded. Feel free to share and replay as often as possible. This is also available in my website and YouTube channel. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope you'll make it a Sunday routine to join me live here on Lifestyle Changers MD. I'm here live every Sunday at 7 a.m. East Pacific Time, or that's 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And to my kababayans in the Philippines, it's Sunday, 11 p.m. Bye for now. I'll see you next week.